Welcome back to the Real Estate News. I'm now with Dondi Szombatfalvy of Domicile. Welcome back, Dondi. Always a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks, Stacy.
And let's talk about kitchen remodeling. That's always a fun topic. I love talking about this with you. So let's talk first about how much of the budget you're really wanting to designate to cabinets. Because we were talking before we came on air here about how people have some misconceptions about that.
Yeah, absolutely. We have actually in the pie of kitchen remodel, believe it or not, kitchen cabinets account for about 29% of what the typical kitchen budget is. A lot of people have the impression that it's a lot more than that, but there's countertops, floors, walls, doors, plumbing, electrical, and then of course installation. So 29% for cabinets.
So it's still the biggest piece of the pie.
It is.
It's not as big of a chunk as people
Yes.
think. Now appliances I would think can be kind of pricey too. Do you have some tips for people on saving some money?
Yeah, well, one thing is you may not need to replace all of your appliances when you're doing a kitchen remodel. If that's the case, then I would definitely plan for the next appliance, whatever it may be. That's one idea. And then the least expensive appliance may not always be your best bet. Go for the best value. Energy Star appliances are a great value, but get an appliance that's going to last and perform the way you want it for a long time.
Yeah, because if you're turning around and replacing it in a few years, you're not saving anything.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about remodeling the kitchen on a budget, sort of
Sure.
keeping it down this flow. What's a good way just to cut down on expenses in general?
Well, probably the biggest thing, if you can keep the same footprint. Now, sometimes people are remodeling their space because they have a frustrating problem that particular layout's not going to fit. But if you can keep the same layout, footprint in the kitchen, you can save a lot of money because you're not relocating mechanicals. A lot of times we can make a big improvement in how the space works, same footprint, but just by changing, more drawer cabinets, larger drawer cabinets, things like that. So we can make a big difference. Maybe go a little bit taller with the cabinets. There's a lot of things that can be done right within the same footprint to ease problems that people are having in the kitchen.
And I love too at Domicile, you really work with the client to decide how they use their kitchen and what they need. You talked about maybe they need more drawers or
Absolutely.
You drill down and you can get it so it's going to work for them. So great advice so far. Any other suggestions for budgeting?
I would say one of the biggest things you could do is when you get your budget or when you're getting your pricing together, don't work on allowances. So sometimes we'll say, okay, we'll put an allowance for the plumbing fixtures or we'll put in an allowance for the countertop. Pick the countertop and actually get that item priced. Pick the faucet, get everything priced so that there's no surprises later on in the process. You can decide in the beginning if you want to select a different sink, a different range, a different cabinet, if you know all those costs up front. So my advice is don't work with allowances. Get everything selected.
Yes, and definitely get a sense of where you're heading before you get there. What about some extra expenses that could just come up? How do you get a realistic picture?
Well, that's a great idea. I think the biggest thing you can do is work with an experienced contractor that is experienced in the age of your home. First of all, they're going to know and anticipate things that are going to need to be done that they're going to run into. Also, some people will come in and give you a very quick quote. Some people will give you a very detailed proposal. Those are signs that they're looking into a little deeper in and understanding what's actually going to need to be done in your specific project.
So I have to ask you, I love to ask you this, what are some of the trends? What are some of the big things that you're seeing in kitchens right now?
Well, you can really individualize your space. Some people have pets, some people have children, some people are moving in 2 years, some people, they're going to be selling their home. So we can do some things to work for resale or make the space really work for the people that are living in that space. So I think that's the key, is really understanding how each customer is going to use that space and being able to individualize the space for them.
Sounds great. Well, thanks so much, Dondi. Always a pleasure. And stay with us. We'll have more real estate news right after the break.